I want to talk to you today about Bitcoin. I am more excited about Bitcoin because of the Lightning Network. I'm going to talk about the Lightning Network, try to explain how it works, if that is possible. First thing I want to say is I've changed my idea on the my dream portfolio. We've gotten a lot more simple. I mean, honestly, BTC, ETC, XLM, you know what? I'm going to change it on the fly. Let's say if we did 30, 30, 30, and then you can play around with 10%. You know, I've said I like, OMG looks like it might be cool, but there's a lot of unknowns with everything. I'm more excited about this BTC, so let me talk. I'll talk a little bit about why I like this portfolio here. ETC is huge and growing so fast. Smart contract Turing complete, with all of its competitors like barely even launched yet. This is sort of the government solution to, you know, like Dubai putting real estate titles on the blockchain. You know, use identity. So many sort of functions beyond money. That's the Ethereum story. Stellar is working with the banks. Know your customer regulations, helping the banks move fiat onto the platform. This is sort of the regulators, I think would be the regulators' favorite. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the monster, always been the biggest, and now with Lightning Network we have instant, free transactions with privacy, coming and coming fast. So let's get into it, okay? So I started making a video and I didn't like it, so I started over. So some of this is already written. Okay, so on the base layer, we have the internet, right? TCP/IP, just how you move packets around on the internet. Then on top of that, we've built many protocols. One of our favorites, HTTP. That was the last 90s revolution, right? Then Bitcoin is another protocol, sort of like HTTP. Now, Bitcoin I have, you know, liked in general for many reasons. Recently I've been warming to it for a reason other than Lightning Network. When I talk to financial people about, you know, cryptocurrency and investing, they are very fixed on, well, what's the supply? When I say, so when they hear Bitcoin, there's only 21 million in existence, and there will only ever be 21 million. They're like, wow, that's really cool. And then I explain, well, Ethereum, you know, is really great for this reason and that reason. They're like, well, what about the supply? And you have to trust, feel they have to trust Vitalik Buterin. I trust him, but, you know, financial people, they want it a little simpler. And then, you know, lumens, well, there's 100 billion, it's fixed at 100 billion. They're like, 100 billion, that's so many. And the Stellar Foundation holds so many right now, and I trust that system. I like it. They're using that to build adoption. Wall Street sort of investor people are like, I don't care about that. They just love that 21 million fixed. 3 or 4 million coins have probably already been lost. So as I've talked to some sort of financial people, I started thinking, you know what? This Bitcoin as a store of value is a pretty strong proposition for you know, diversification for real big money people. But now we're taking it a step further with the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network, and bear with me, I'm going to try to explain it as best I can. It's hard to wrap your head around it. It is it's an onion network, which if you've ever heard, if you know about Tor, one thing that could help you understand this is, and I haven't done much of this yet, is study Tor, the system for sort of having privacy conversations or exchanging information. The Lightning Network is sort of modeled on the Tor network. And the bottom line is this. So I'm going to try to explain briefly, which is simply that, so I have Bitcoin, someone else has Bitcoin. The bottom line is I can set up a payment channel. So here's, we do the classic Alice and Bob. They set up a payment channel between themselves. using Lightning Network. It's not that hard. You set up a channel. That means now that I have a channel between the two of us with a certain budget, let's say, you know, whatever, up to 10 Bitcoins, we can send money back and forth for free instantly through this channel, as long as it doesn't exceed the budget. Now, where this also gets cool is Bob sets up a channel with Charlie. And let's say they have a budget of 5. Now, they can send money back and forth as long as it doesn't exceed the budget, instant and free. Now, this goes on and on. C makes a payment channel with D. And you know, now let's say they have a budget of 3. So, where this gets interesting is now I happen to bump into D and say, oh, I want to pay you. I don't have a payment channel set up with D. But the system automatically, I can send money to D. It will hop, hop, hop until it gets to D. Again, instant and free. The only restriction on this is that my payment to D cannot exceed the lowest budget on all of these, which would be 3. So the key to this, so this is cool, right? And also, by the way, when the payment bounces from A to B, each time it bounces, it is all encrypted. B doesn't, when I'm going to D, B doesn't know that it even, whether there were more hops before A. It doesn't know if it's the first or second hop. It doesn't know where the destination is. All it knows is it figures out, oh, this is not for me. I got to pass it on. It passes it to C. C doesn't know that it came from A and B. It just knows it's not for it and passes it on to D. So there we have privacy. So first of all these coins that have come out recently, you know, privacy coin, fast coin, whatever, all these coins, to me now, are in big trouble compared to this, what you can do with Bitcoin. Now, when I say big trouble, all these, like for example, Litecoin, to me is the ultimate in these boring coins. I'm not saying Litecoin's going to disappear. In fact, Litecoin has already joined the payment channel system. So it can also be passed around and it can be used. But these coins that are just coins, that have the same functionality as Bitcoin, I don't see how they increase that much in value. It's boring to just be a coin, unless you're Bitcoin. So anyways, so that's kind of how it works. Now, there's a lot of videos. I don't even know that there's a lot, but I bumped into a few videos talking about how this Lightning Network will become centralized, and there will be centralized hubs, and this is, you know, it's going to become the horrible banking system that everybody fears. I've seen a few of these videos, and each of them were put out by the Bitcoin Cash crowd. The Bitcoin Cash, listen, it's another coin. I'll try to be nice, but my feeling about the Bitcoin Cash community is they are like hyper obsessed about block size. If you talk about any solution other than block size, you're destroying the world. And they have, you know, they want Bitcoin to go to 0. And I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to be nice and not say they're just, you know, trying to lie and manipulate. I'm sure there's some sort of train of logic that draws them to come up with these arguments. But the centralization argument, if you see more arguments arguing that this Lightning Network will become centralized, check to see if it's from the Bitcoin Cash community. If it is, I would sort of discount it. The other thing is, you know, if it really sounds interesting, maybe that's something to talk about. Post it to in the comments. But keep in mind, the people who created this are not interested in centralization. And it's modeled after Tor, which is a system that has been out for a while and does not tend toward centralization. And as you see how this works, I mean, to me, I can also see logically how this is not something that would naturally become centralized. So I'm not worried about those claims. Now, the other thing that for me is super important, now Lightning Network, the white paper was a couple of years ago. You know, this has been out there. I've heard about it. It's been hard to understand, but you know, I like to analyze things and judge things only after they've launched. Well, Lightning Network launched, was it maybe January 10th? Like, people get so mad at me when I'm wrong about like things. I mean, it launched January 10th. Maybe it launched January 9th. Everyone's going to be saying, you're such an idiot. Don't make videos unless you know everything perfectly. And I'm in the middle of a video. I use my phone. I'm not going to go to my phone now to look up the exact date. It launched early January. Like, just calm down about the details. And when I get someone's name wrong, I apologize when I get somebody's name wrong. You know, it doesn't mean that I disrespect them. It's just, there's a lot of stuff here. And honestly, you know, this is not a high production. Someone says, oh, and you rent out, I'm renting out this room. I'm not renting this room. This is the building where I live, and I schlep this thing up the stairs. It's a nice room to make a big video, you know, and I don't have to clean up the kids' toys. Okay, sorry. Ranting from comments from past videos. Where was I before what the heck was I talking about? Oh, Lightning Network launched in early January. And people are setting up payment channels like crazy. The growth looks huge because the key to this, I think I mentioned, is the more, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G's you have out there, the easier it is to send payments instant and free. And so the key is the growth. The bigger the Lightning Network is, the better it is. And already it's growing like gangbusters. So what else do we want to talk about? You know, one other thing, I don't know if this is, it's sort of a separate video that I want to talk about. I'll just mention briefly with this. What I think is interesting is that, you know, so if you are B and you are passing transactions along, I believe this is a way for you to make money. You can charge a small, you know, I think the fees are super small, but when you're just passing packets around, I believe there's a way to make a teeny bit of money on that, and then with volume, it turns out to be something. This is a form of staking, running a node, and staking your Bitcoin, right? Here's the 10, someone's staking, they're staking 5. It's a way of staking Bitcoin, running a node to earn some extra money. Looks like an interesting business idea. And one of the things I like about it, if we are right and that this is not going to centralize, then there's sort of an advantage. In other words, it's not something like, well, eventually there's going to be 4 hubs that do all the transactions, and you and I, little guy who would set up 1 or 2 computers, you know, will eventually get wiped out. It might be the case that more separate computers is the way that it works, and so there's an advantage to just being small and having your little node out there that you run well and you make a little extra money. It could be an interesting business. To me, that's more exciting than mining because this is new, brand new. If you know anything about setting up nodes, now the other thing I was going to say, I want to make another video about is the idea, well, what about having a proof of stake node on Ethereum, on OMG? These are interesting ideas to me of ways to make money. The way mining has been sort of exciting, but mining to me is just too competitive and crazy right now. And also I don't like hardware. I prefer software. So if you can run a node, in fact, if you know how to run nodes and you're interested in the staking business, shoot me a message. Maybe we can put this together. So I think that's all I want to talk about here. Good luck, and go BTC.